Welcome back everybody to Hanna Instruments, doing the 901, 902 training. I want to go over the method options. Whatever method you have up will have its own set of options that are all fully adjustable. Right now we have total acidity of wine up. We're going to select the method options button and pull up our list of options. First line, rather self-explanatory, TA of wine. If you would like to change the name of that, you'd simply enter and type in the name you'd like. Method revision. This is what software is actually loaded into it. This software is 1.0. If you had an updated thing, it would be 1.1 and so forth. Titration type, standard titration. Back titration would be your second option if you have a 902. Pump configuration. If you are running more than one pump on your 901, you can go in here and you would have pump 1 and pump 2, and you can select to always run one of those two pumps for that test. Dosing type, dynamic or linear. We recommend dynamic. If you go into dynamic, here's where you can adjust your minimum and maximum volumes of titrant delivered. Linear would also be the same, although very rarely used. Endpoint mode, since we're in pH, we're doing a fixed endpoint of 8.2. You can do a fixed endpoint with millivolts or an equivalence endpoint with pH or millivolts. Pre-titration volume. This is something that most people really should adjust to fit their wines if you'd like to speed up the test. You simply select and type in the amount of pre-titration volume you would like dispensed. If you have high total acidity wines, you would raise it to basically try to have it dose up to somewhere around 6 on the pH. If you had low TA wines, you would lower it to make sure you don't miss your endpoint. Pre-titration stir time. This is how long it's actually going to stir before it starts adding titrant. Recommended time is 15 seconds. You can speed it up or slow it down a little bit without affecting your results. Okay. Measurement mode. We're in signal stability, which means it's going to wait until the signal is stable before it begins to titrate or moves to the next titration. Timed increments would just simply type in how long in between each dosing you would like. If you enter signal stability, you can see you have adjustments here. You can adjust for the millivolts, the seconds, both up and down, minimum and maximum wait times. Electrode type. This is simply letting the machine know what electrode you are using for this test. It's just typing it in. It does not actually affect the test. It's just naming the probe. Blank option, if you're going to run a blank, and something we do not do much in the wine testing, this is where you'd put it in. Sample calculation by volume. Almost all our samples will always be done by volume, but this is where you could change it to weight if you would like. We're going to keep it on volume, so we're going to use volumetric pipettes. Normality, we'll leave it there. Equivalence. Select through there. Here's where you can actually change your final results format. Right now we have it grams per liter. Most people will be more comfortable and more traditionally using grams per 100 milliliters, which is how your outside labs will usually display them. Okay, here's the actual math of the test. What we have on the top is the titrant concentration. The second is the molecular equivalent. Third is the molecular weight of tartaric acid, and fourth is the sample volume. On top you see the math of how you're getting your answer. Dilution option. If you were doing a consistent dilution, you can actually type in, you can enable and type in the actual amount of dilution factor. Titrant name. simply typing in, as in the pH probe and the name of the test, what the titrant name is. Next is titrant concentration. This is where you would enter 0.1 normality. If you wanted to change, use 1 or say 0.01. This is where you would change the normality, which will automatically update the calculation. Analyte size. This is where you would enter how big of analyte, how big a sample you're using for your test. Next is analyte entry. Change the page here real quick. Analyte entry, we have two choices. We have fixed. Fixed weight or volume, or manual weight or volume. You chose manual. Each time you would have to select and let the machine know what you put in there. We're going to go back and put in a fixed weight or volume, since we're always going to use 10 milliliters for this test. Okay. Maximum titrant volume. This is how much titrant your burette can hold. The machine knows automatically what burette has been put on your machine with a sensor. Stirring speed is simply the RPMs of the stirring motor. Potential range, this is the range of millivolts it's going to be looking at. Anything inside there it'll consider acceptable. Volume and flow rate is 25 milliliter, again, is the volume of the burette, and the flow rate is going to be 2 burettes full, 50 milliliters per minute. Signal averaging, how many readings you would like it to average. Between 1 and 4. And final results format. This is where you choose between exponential and no decimal places. I traditionally recommend keeping it at 2 decimal places for most of your tests. Once you start getting exponential, it can only cause confusion instead of actually helping your cause. And that's it. That is the methods inside of each test. Every test will have the same set of methods. Each one will vary slightly to significantly depending on what the test is. Everything is adjustable, though. I recommend adjusting the machine to your individual wine and testing needs. So that is the methods. And now we'll prepare, and I'm going to exit without saving. You would hit save to save your changes, and we're ready to do more testing.